Hello everybody, my name is Brian Kelley and welcome back to Talk of the Town. We have another great show for you this week, and we have a couple of Milton residents that want to share with you a project that they're involved in, and it sounds like they want to get Milton involved in something here, so I'm kind of curious, so we're going to find out what's going on. We have a couple of guests. We have Wendy O'Malley, is that correct?
Yes.
And we have Andrew Russell. What's the matter? Your parents couldn't decide what name to give you?
No, the more first names, the better, I think.
What's your middle name?
Jacob. So 3 total.
Andrew Jacob Russell.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, welcome to Talk of the Town.
Thanks, Brian.
Now, both of you, I believe, you have jobs in the Boston area, but you're involved in a program at UMass. So you've already graduated from university, but you're involved with a certificate program at UMass called the Emerging Leaders Program. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did I get that right, Wendy?
Yes, you're correct.
Wendy's a little shy, so everyone be easy on her, okay? We're gonna help her work her way out of that. All right. Well, Wendy, why don't you tell us what the Emerging Leaders Program is over at UMass?
The
UMass Boston.
The UMass Emerging Leaders Program is started by the Center for Collaborative Leadership, and it's an executive training program for professionals in the greater Boston area to enhance their leadership skills, to work on civic engagement projects. Each year there's a cohort, a group of us. This year there are about 40 of us that are involved, and we come from all different professions, all different private and public industries, organizations, and all different positions. And we network with each other, and we are working on different projects, and that's where Andrew and I come in with the emerging leaders.
So you're trying to become an emerging leader yourself so you can be like the head of some giant organization someday?
That's the goal, I think.
Okay, and we're going to be the guinea pigs over here, right? To see if you can do what you want to do. All right, okay. All right, so Andrew, do you want to add anything to what Wendy said about the program?
No, I think the one other key element of the ELP program, as we call it, is that the selection committee at UMass takes great efforts to make sure that it's a really diverse group of people from across sectors in Boston. So both in whatever profession our classmates are in, but also when it comes to gender, when it comes to racial makeup, it's probably the most diverse group of people that I've been involved with in any sort of professional or university setting.
Now, what kind of industry are you coming from?
I work at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, so I'm coming from nonprofit, as is Wendy, but we have other people on our team from Citizens Bank and the Boston Public Schools and
Citizens Corporation.
Yep, and State Street Corporation. So it's a really good mix of backgrounds. So
as part of this program, you're trying to work on a civic project with the town of Milton. Is that correct?
Correct.
So folks, you got to listen up, because we're going to be over the course of the show, we're going to be talking about some dates and some things that are going to be coming up in September that you folks at home can get involved in and help these two become better leaders. Because if this fails, it's not going to look good, I'm telling you. All right, so now, something I see on my notes here says something about a Fair Housing Center of Greater Boston. Tell me about that, and how is that linked to what's going on here?
Sure. The Fair Housing Center of Greater
Boston. She's not shy.
We've partnered with them to hold the Race and Place dialogue in September and October.
So okay, I guess we better go back to what is Race in Place, is it?
Race and Place.
Oh, Race
dialogue.
and Place, okay.
Yes.
You wanted me to read a Race in Place on the treadmill or something. Okay, Race in Place. Okay, what is that all about?
It's a 4-part series that's centered on a PBS series called Race: The Power of Illusion. So it's the Race and Place dialogue we're holding in September and October is 4 separate evenings. It's going to be from 6 to 8:30 p.m. On Wednesday, September 14th, Wednesday, September 21st, October 5th, and October 12th. And we'll be watching 1 hour of the PBS series and then having a dialogue discussion afterwards about the themes and the information that's presented in the series, in hopes of sparking some critical thinking, creating some dialogue among the community to talk about race and how it affects our community. So
let me ask you a question. Do you think there's a challenge with race in most communities today? And so this is trying to make communities a little nicer places to live. Is that what this is all about?
We want to continue the efforts that we think that other past residents have started. We know that Milton is a no-hate community. we feel that race is here in our society, as reported in some of the local papers that we've read recently over the year. That diversity of the population in Milton is increasing. We just feel that it raises awareness and to get information out to people who may not have that access. We think that's one way we can help benefit the town. We just want to create some dialogue among the community, try to foster some understanding. There are projects in the town that I think it can help, and issues, you know, that we all should know about. So,
now, did your group come up with this idea?
Yeah, so we, within the ELP, are broken down into smaller subgroups who work on some sort of civic engagement project. And Wendy and I both chose to be on this team, which was advancing a racial dialogue in a community. Wendy grew up in Milton. I'm a Milton resident for the last 18 or so months. And we knew the demography of Milton, and as compared to a lot of different towns in Massachusetts, was relatively diverse. So we thought it would be a great starting point for the dialogue.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. And
Yeah.
well, it's nice that you're both from the community too. How many other people are working on this particular project with Milton from your group? Just you two, or a bunch of you?
There's 6 of us total.
6 of you.
Yep.
Okay.
yes.
Yep. We're the only 2 from town.
So you're going to have the people come together. They're going to watch this PBS series.
Yes.
And what was the name of that again?
Race, the Power of Illusion.
So obviously, there's some things we're not aware of that they're going to make us aware of. Am I right?
We learned a lot.
Yes, we learned a
Yeah.
lot. We spent a day watching the video, and we were very. There was a lot of information in there that I was surprised about, and I felt like this information should be shared with others who may not know. The PBS series has been featured at the Museum of Science recently in the past year. It's been at different exhibits around the country. It's a well-known series. So the town of Westwood held a similar type race and place dialogue in the past. So we just want to bring that to another community.
Okay.
In hopes of just getting information out.
Yeah, it's a 3-hour series, and each of the first 3 sessions that we'll do in town focuses on a different hour of the series.
Okay.
So the first hour is all based around debunking the myth of differences in genetic makeup between races. The second one takes a look at racism and the history of racism in America. And then the third one explores the role of race specifically in relation to housing issues in the United States.
Oh, so that brings us back to the housing question. Okay. Who is the Fair Housing Center of Greater Boston, and how are they related to this project?
So they were someone who was in place when we took on the project with UMass. They're a partner with the Center of Collaborative Leadership at UMass Boston. The Fair Housing Center of Greater Boston is committed to eliminating racial inequalities when it comes to housing, really throughout Greater Boston. You know, so not only Suffolk County, but Norfolk, Plymouth, and all through, I'd say, the 95 corridor. You know, so this is a project that obviously they're very committed to. They facilitated the dialogue in Westwood a couple of years ago, and they've been, Tracy Brown, who's the executive director there, has been a great support for us as we've looked to bring the dialogue to Milton as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So obviously, I'm going to ask. I have a list of questions here, folks. And the next question is why Milton? But I think you already kind of answered that. But anything else you want to add to why we have chose Milton?
We have a personal stake. I mean, we are residents. My daughter's going to be growing up here. My mother lives here. I'm very proud to be a Milton resident.
A Miltonian?
A Miltonian, as I call it, a proud graduate of the school system. So we just thought, you know, with the relationship that we have with the town, there are 3 other members of our cohort that also reside in the town of Milton.
So 5 of the 6 are of Miltonian?
5 out of the 40. We
Oh, 5
have
out of
40 of us, but on our team specifically, there
Yeah.
were 2
Oh, okay.
that are Milton residents. So we just thought there was a natural tie there.
Nice, very good. Now, do you like people that weren't born in Milton? Are you okay with Andrew?
You know,
Did you call him like a carpetbagger or something?
It took me a little while to warm up to him, but you know, he has won me over now, and now that he's a Miltonian.
So you've
Now
accepted him now?
Yes,
and
yes.
He's all right.
We're a very welcoming community, Brian. Yes.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't born in Milton. Sometimes I feel welcome, you know, and so I'm glad that people that grew up here accept us.
Yes.
That came from out of town.
Out of town.
All right, so let's see. So what is the goal of the dialogue? just to make the place a better place to live, get people to get along? Why can't we be friends? To prevent discrimination? Is that what, I mean, tell me some more.
It's really all of those things. You know, it's not setting out to, you know, with a specific target in mind, or we want to achieve X or we want to achieve Y. You know, we're really hoping to start a dialogue in the community. As Wendy said, there's a lot of these things have been touched upon in the last 10 to 20 years in town with different committees and No Place for Hate and things like that. You know, so all we're looking to do is maybe reinvigorate some of the existing sentiment that's there, to make Milton a more welcoming place for all of its residents. And if the fourth session of the dialogue is really meant to look forward, whereas the 3 video sessions, you sort of review what you've seen and talk about the things you've learned. The fourth session is about, well, now that we know all of this, what do we do to make Milton a more welcoming place? You know, so really we're hoping that it's a resident-driven action plan that comes out of the dialogue.
Well, you know, they're having the 350th celebration next year, so you're going to be in the parade?
That's true. I would hope so.
If they want me there, we'll be there.
Okay. So you already told us the dates and the times. Mm-hmm. You watched the movie and everything. Well, let me ask you a question. Wendy,
yes.
In your career as a Miltonian,
yes.
Have you found any, at times, did you ever feel unwelcome?
Well, you know.
Or did you ever experience something that you wouldn't want others to experience?
Personally, you know, when I moved here in Milton, I moved in 2nd grade.
Ah, you're not a true Miltonian.
No, so I knew I'd get that. Turned Miltonian.
When do you get to be a true Miltonian? Do you have to be born here?
I think you have to have attended some elementary school here.
Oh, that's the criteria.
Yes. That didn't.
No, so I don't count.
That's just my own personal.
I came after school. Okay.
We might make you honorary. So.
Okay, so you came here in elementary school.
In elementary school, and at that time, Milton really did not have a large minority population.
Okay.
From what I remember, I was one of the few Asians in my elementary school. So it's changed a lot. My daughter is biracial. She's Chinese and Irish. So she'll be going into the schools as a minority. When I grew up, town was a little bit different, you know, and it's evolved, and I would hope that, I think it's a very open community. As I said, I just moved back here after growing up here my whole life and going to the Milton Public School System. So I really love Milton, and I really want it to be the most open and welcoming place for my daughter to grow up in. So that's my personal stake in it. And I think the movie had a lot of great facts, things that, you know, even as someone who thinks she's very knowledgeable in history, still found out some things that I didn't know and that surprised me. So we thought this video would be very helpful to everybody, and my personal stake, just, you know, to help make the community better for everybody.
Now we can all learn, can't we?
Yes.
Are you concerned that the only people that will show up to this program are people that are already aware and working best to be welcoming, and the ones that really probably need it the most won't be there?
That's always a fear.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that before you said it, Brian.
I mean, think about it. Come on.
Yeah, that's definitely a fear, you know. But even if it is the sort of you know, a core group of a dozen, 20, 25 people, you know, like I said, if it reinvigorates, you know, feelings or committees or you know, action plans that have been dormant in town for 5-10 years, that, you know, a year from now at the parade, or 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, some of the efforts that spawned out of this dialogue are still happening. It'll be a tremendous success, I think.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hey, well, now I believe Milton Cable might be able to broadcast that program too.
Yeah, they will.
Now, can people also reach it online, so that maybe if they want to watch it before the event?
It was a little difficult to find the video first, we will admit.
But they hide it online? PBS doesn't want, it's not on YouTube or anything?
No, the snippets of it are on YouTube.
Yes.
So you can get
there's snippets on it?
Yeah, so you can get a sense of what each of the 3 hours cover. And it's available, I know, at the Boston Public Library and the Minuteman Library. We were able to track down a couple of pieces, but...
You didn't put it in the Milton Library yet?
Not yet, but Milton is able to, the Access Television is able to stream it, rebroadcast it, because it's for educational purposes. I'm assuming you're not charging admission or any sort of fee or anything like that. So
Send your check for $49,955. We'll reserve you a front row seat.
so yeah, it's really, and it is, you know, like Wendy, I consider myself to be a somewhat educated person and knowledgeable about things like this. And all 3 hours were really eye-opening about, you know, the racial makeup today, you know, the history of race in America, you know, and why we sort of are where we are as a country. And as the demography of the U.S. changes and of Greater Boston changes and Milton continues to evolve, it's important for people to have all this information.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So, what are your roles going to be out throughout this process as your emerging leaders here? What are the leaders going to be doing? Are you going to be at these sessions trying to engage people in conversation? Is that your main goal?
Definitely. We will be attending the sessions. We hope to ask some questions that will cause people to take a pause and think, and maybe think about how their own views may change from the video, or just be honest about things that they saw and how they feel, and then talk about, you know, maybe certain things that are going in the town, things that we can do to maybe help situations or get information out, or just, as Andrew said, we know there are already organizations that focus on a lot of the issues that the Race and Place dialogue will touch upon. So if we can connect with other committees and just help them with their efforts, support initiatives that have already been started, I think that would be fantastic.
Are you going to give them snacks? Sometimes you have to bribe people to go to an event like this.
Oh, we'll have
Free
food.
pizza or something. There will be, folks, there will be snacks.
We have some great sponsors, and we have...
Who are some of the sponsors? Share, give them a little publicity. Who are some of the sponsors?
The Town of Milton is one of our supporting organizations, as well as the Milton Interfaith Clergy Association.
Okay.
A company named Direct Energy will be sponsoring the refreshments and drinks for all the attendees. So.
Direct Energy, huh?
Yes.
Were they energy drinks?
Well,
they
we
in
don't
the
know
real
yet.
energy business?
Maybe some Powerade or something like that. You know?
Okay. And then what's going to be your role after you have the civic involvement in these 3 meetings? So there's 3 meetings, correct? So the meetings are going to be how long?
Probably a couple hours.
So 1 hour, so they're going to watch the video.
Right.
For an hour.
And this is going to be in the library, correct?
Correct. in
Yes,
the Keys
Milton
room at
Public
the
Library,
Okay,
Keys
so-
Community Room.
Okay, so after they watch the video, then you're going to have the discussion. And then you're going to ask those same people to come back for the second one
Yes.
and for the third one.
Right.
Okay, then what happens after that? Anything else as far as you two involved?
Well, I think Wendy sort of said, as the residents in our little group of 6, I think we sort of have the most at stake, you know, and both of us having chosen to move to this community within the last 2 years, having bought a house in the last 2 years, with, you know, especially with the housing market being what it is, you know, we both feel a great sense of investment in, you know, growing the town and staying in the town and staying active in the town. So if, you know, Wendy and I are co-chairing some diversity initiative in Milton for the next 5 years, or we're on the newly formed No Place for Hate board, or whatever the case is, you know, I think that would, personally at least for me, be a big success.
So tell me, let's say you were on a diversity board or organization, what would be some of the goals of a diversity organization? Tell me some of the things that you'd like to see come out of this. Like specific things. That you'd like to
Wow, you put me on the spot there, Brian.
Well, you're a leader. Come on,
Yeah.
leaders get it on the spot. You know, I mean, tell me, what are you thinking? What are some of your real dreams and visions for the town going forward?
I would hope to. I would hope that we could be involved in some of the projects that we know are being considered in the town.
For example?
For example, I know there are some new housing, some buildings, new housing that's being proposed by different developers. Housing that normally is typical for Milton, multifamily housing. From what we've learned in our program, we understand that the proximity of Milton to Boston is really a lifeline for a lot of jobs in the community.
This is the center of the universe.
Making the quality of life better for everybody. So in that context, we know that having affordable housing having housing that's available to people who may not normally be able to afford the typical Milton residence, we think is very important.
So you think, so one goal would be to see some more affordable housing in Milton. So that would be something that you think would be a good thing.
We think it would be good if people would open their minds to looking at that possibility. Sure. We're not saying that you have to, but you know, I think more information the better.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, what else would you like to see?
It's a high opportunity community for people to live in. It's safe. It's got a good public school system. It's got, you know, different options when it comes to schooling. It's close proximity to Boston. You know, and again, as the sort of overall makeup of the area changes, it's important for Milton, you know, as the town hopes to continue to grow, you know, in future generations to come, that we're on the forefront of welcoming people into the community. You know, and even if it is something as simple as a sort of a welcome wagon committee, you know, when new people move to town, you know, whether it's in...
I heard we have some, but they didn't come to my house.
But whether it's on, you know, whether it's on Brush Hill Road or whether it's, you know, on my side of town, which is, you know, super close to the Mattapan, you know, city line and tends to be really diverse, you know, no matter where it is in the town, that, and no matter who you are, that you sort of feel that welcoming presence as you move here.
Okay. Andrew.
Yeah.
I put Wendy on the spot. How about yourself? What are some of your dreams and visions? Any specific things that you'd like to see happen?
No, you know, my wife and I lived in New York for 5 years before we moved to Boston. Or in the city proper? Actually, right on it was technically the Upper West Side, but if you asked anyone, they would have told you it was Harlem. Okay. And we had a great time there. We liked the community we lived in a lot. I've got 2 young boys, one about to start kindergarten at Tucker School, and another young boy on the way in the fall.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, you know, we chose Milton because...
Yeah, why did you choose Milton?
Because it is a diverse community.
So that was one of the things you were looking for in a community.
A big draw for us to move.
And why did you think that was important in your family's
we think it's important. You know, my wife grew up in a different suburb of Boston that tends to be a little bit more monochromatic.
Wait a minute. Come on. You're talking to Brian Kelley here. You're gonna what monochromatic? What do you mean?
It's a very white community. Very white community.
That's monochromatic.
Monochromatic.
I never heard that term.
You know, sort of same skin tone all around.
I gotcha. Okay.
And so, you know, and I grew up in a suburb of Buffalo that was the same way.
Okay.
And I think living in Manhattan for us for 5 years was a real eye-opening experience that, you know, it's important for our children to grow up in a community that represents the way the rest of the world looks. And go to school in a classroom that represents the way that a boardroom is going to look someday that they're sitting in.
Are you telling me that at the Museum of Fine Arts, it's the staff there is not monochromatic?
We have our challenges. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, so so we might need a little more diversity there also.
Absolutely, I think everywhere could probably use a little bit more.
And where
diversity.
do you work? Where you work, is that monochromatic in your opinion?
We have our challenges as well, but we're always trying to diversify more, and so we're a very small organization, Brian. We only have not as many as the MFA. So.
Well, you know, a lot of people make a decision to send their children to private schools. Many at the high school level, and they moved from the Milton public schools. But I was actually happy with the public schools because I wanted the diversity also, because I'm in an industry, I work in an industry that's, you know, very diverse, and I think people need to learn about other people. We're gonna, you know, and so I think it's a positive thing that we are a diverse community. So I think that has a positive influence on my children, you know.
Yeah.
I would echo that. As someone who attended the state college system, I went to UMass Amherst. I kind of thought Milton was my whole world until I went to college, and then you discover that the world is much different. So I think, you know, the sooner we introduce that to our community, I think the better. I
went to school up in Nova Scotia, and I got up there, and I thought that community was all monochromatic. I like this word. Okay, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe all the black community in Nova Scotia, and I was just very ignorant, you know. I grew up in Weymouth, which was pretty monochromatic at the time, and so it was an eye-opening experience, you know. And funny, I just read a book. It's called in Canada, it's called The Book of Negroes. Have you read the book?
No,
I have not.
In the United States, it's called Someone Knows My Name.
Okay.
It's a great story, but it all talks about the slave trade and actually how a lot of the slaves left New England and were shipped to Nova Scotia.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and the community that they were shipped to is still there in Nova Scotia, and how it changed the diversity of Nova Scotia, and how it had to do with the war, and it's a fascinating story. So if you haven't read that, you might find that to be a very good book. Someone Knows My Name.
Yeah.
It was an excellent story. You know, it's fiction, but based on a lot of truths. You know, and so it gave me a greater understanding. And so, hey, well, you know, I hope you have some success, because I really don't want you to be kicked off the leadership ladder of leadership. You know what I mean? I mean, this is a big deal.
Yeah, we need those certificates.
Yes,
so far.
That's right. And so we're going to remind the folks at home, the whole program. What's the name of the whole program called?
The Race and Place Dialogue.
Race and Place Dialogue.
Right.
Okay. There's going to be 3 sessions coming up, starting in September.
4 sessions total.
Oh, 4. Well,
So
okay.
three video sessions, and then the 4th discussion session at the end.
Are we going to have a discussion session after each video session?
We're doing a lot of discussing, Brian.
A lot of discussing. So if you like to discuss, there's going to be some discussion going on. Okay, well, good. Well, you know, this should be fun. Should be interesting, and I hope you put them on the spot, you know, folks at home, because you got to test this leadership here.
Exactly.
And so you can learn how to answer the questions and make people feel good about it. And so they can make sure you attend. We're going to have Mike over at Milton Cable. We'll put all the dates up on the video screen, so you'll see that. And any other contact information. If people want to know more about this, have you put together a website yet on this?
There's a website that the URL is a little hard to quote on a TV show, but if you are in need of more information,
We'll put the URL on.
You can put the URL on, and just feel free to email us at miltonraceandplace@gmail.com. miltonraceandplace@gmail.com.
That's easy enough. Okay, and they'll get, who answers those emails? You, Andy?
It's the group of us.
The group of you,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
All
team
right.
effort.
Team effort.
A team effort.
Yeah.
It's all about team effort.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, hey, we're looking forward to learning more about this. I'll look forward to seeing the, what's the movie called?
Race, the Power of Illusion.
Race, the Power of Illusion. Okay, good. Hey, well, thank you for taking the time and having a care and a concern for the community and make us a better place to live. They say we're number 2. Maybe we can move to
This
number
could
1.
be-
This
Is this
could
all
be the
we
reason
need?
we go to number 1, maybe.
Take us over the
I will say that in all the articles I've read that have ranked Milton in whatever criteria they use, one of the criteria they look for is diversity.
Yeah.
And so, what a country.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, man, oh man. Okay, folks, so listen, I appreciate you taking the time to watch Talk of the Town. I want to thank our guests, Andrew and Wendy, for being with us today, and we'll look forward to seeing all of you in September at the first session. And hopefully you'll come to the other 3 after that. Thank you, folks. Thank you for watching Talk of the Town. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Thank you for watching Talk of the Town. Have a great evening. Good night.